Imagine having everything: wealth, comfort, love, a future promised to you, and then choosing to walk away from all of it. Why would anyone give up a perfect life? This is the story of Siddhartha Gautama, the prince who left behind a kingdom to answer a question no one else dared to ask. Born into luxury, Siddhartha lived in a world meticulously crafted to be without sorrow. His father, King Suddhodana, had built him a literal paradise on earth. There were gardens where the flowers never wilted, music that never faded, and laughter that was never allowed to break. Every surface of his life was polished to perfection, every corner filled with joy, all of it designed to hide the truth of the world that existed just beyond the palace walls. The king's motivation was rooted in a prophecy, a warning delivered by wise astrologers at Siddhartha's birth. They declared the boy would become one of two things: a great ruler who would conquer the world, or a great spiritual teacher who would renounce it. Faced with this choice, the king did what any loving father might do. He chose the path of power and safety for his son. He would protect the prince from suffering at all costs, sealing him within a bubble of perpetual happiness. For 29 years, the illusion held. Siddhartha grew up, married a beautiful princess named Yasodhara, and had a son, Rahula. He was surrounded by every imaginable pleasure. Yet a strange, persistent curiosity gnawed at him, a feeling that something was missing, that this perfect world was not the whole story. He felt an urge to see the world as it truly was, beyond the gilded gates. Eventually, he persuaded his charioteer, Channa, to take him on secret trips into the city. It was on these journeys that the walls of his perfect world finally cracked. On his first trip, he saw an old man, frail and bent with age, his body trembling as he struggled to walk. Siddhartha, who had never seen the ravages of time, was deeply shaken. "What has happened to him?" he asked Channa, his voice filled with disbelief. Channa replied simply, "He is old, my lord. We all grow old. Time comes for all of us." This was the first encounter. The prince had just discovered aging. The concept that his own strong body would one day fail was a shocking revelation. On his next journey, the illusion shattered further. He saw a man lying on the side of the road, his body racked with fever and pain. This was the face of sickness. Siddhartha had been shielded from even the slightest discomfort his entire life. To see a person consumed by an ailment, their body failing itself, was horrifying. He was never told that life could break, that the human form was so vulnerable. This was the second encounter, the discovery of disease. The third trip brought the most profound shock of all. He witnessed a funeral procession. A body, silent and still, was being carried through the street, followed by weeping mourners. "What is this?" Siddhartha asked, his heart heavy. "This is death," Channa explained. "It is the end that awaits every living being. It is final." The prince was confronted with the ultimate truth of mortality. All the joy, all the love, all the beauty he had ever known would one day cease to exist. This was the third encounter, the grim reality of death. The weight of these three truths, old age, sickness, and death, crushed him. The joy of the palace now seemed like a hollow lie. How could anyone find true happiness knowing that this suffering was the inevitable fate of all? It was on his fourth and final trip that a sliver of hope appeared. Amidst the chaos and sorrow of the world, he saw a wandering ascetic, a monk. The man had no possessions, his head was shaved, and he wore simple robes. Yet his face was serene. He walked with a calm, peaceful dignity, completely untouched by the fear and despair that Siddhartha now felt. In that moment, the prince had a profound realization. The world suffers, yes. That is an undeniable truth. But perhaps, just perhaps, there is a path beyond suffering. This monk, this lone figure of tranquility, represented a possibility. This was the fourth encounter, and it planted a seed that would change the course of his life and the world forever. The weight of his discoveries was too much to bear. The music of the palace now sounded like a funeral dirge, the laughter of Fido's hollow. He knew he could no longer live this lie. One night, as the palace slept, he made his decision. He crept into his wife's chambers and looked upon her and their newborn son, Rahula, sleeping peacefully. His heart ached. The pull of love was immense, a powerful anchor holding him to this life. But the pull of truth, the desperate need to find an answer to the problem of suffering, was even stronger. This was the great renunciation. Without a word, he turned away. He mounted his horse, Kanthaka, and rode into the darkness, leaving behind his kingdom, his family, and everything he had ever known. For the next 6 years, Siddhartha wandered the forests and villages of India, a beggar in search of truth. He sought answers everywhere. He studied with the most renowned monks, sages, and philosophers of his time, mastering their teachings and meditative practices. Yet none of it gave him the final answer he craved. Believing the path to liberation lay in extreme self-denial, he joined a group of ascetics. He pushed his body to its absolute limits, starving himself until his ribs protruded, and he was near death, thinking that if he could conquer physical pain, he could free his mind. But all he found was more suffering. He realized that torturing the body was not the answer, just as indulging it in pleasure was not. Both were extremes. The answer, he suspected, must lie somewhere in the middle. At his lowest point, near collapse from starvation, a young village girl named Sujata offered him a bowl of milk rice. He accepted it, breaking his fast. This simple act of kindness was a turning point. He had learned that suffering alone was not the path to enlightenment. Having regained his strength, Siddhartha journeyed to a place now known as Bodh Gaya. There, he found a majestic peepal tree, which would later be called the Bodhi Tree. He sat beneath its branches and made a powerful vow: "Let my skin, my sinews, and my bones wither away. Let my flesh and blood dry up. I will not rise from this spot until I have attained full enlightenment and understood the nature of suffering." As night fell, his mind became a battlefield. All his deepest fears, doubts, and desires rose to the surface, personified as the demon Mara, who tempted him with visions of power, pleasure, and fear. But Siddhartha remained still, his resolve unshakable. He watched these thoughts and temptations arise and pass away, observing them without attachment. He was no longer their prisoner. As the morning star appeared in the dawn sky, a profound clarity washed over him. The truth he had been seeking for so long was finally revealed. He saw the fundamental nature of existence. Life, he understood, inherently contains suffering, or dukkha. This suffering is not random, it has a cause. The cause is craving, desire, and attachment, our relentless thirst for things to be different than they are. But the most important realization was this: because suffering has a cause, it can also have an end. By releasing desire, by letting go of our attachments, suffering can cease. And there is a practical, noble path to achieve this release, a path solutions of wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline, the path of balance, the middle way. In that moment of perfect understanding, the prince was gone. Siddhartha Gautama had become the Buddha, the awakened one. But here is the twist, the part of the story we so often forget. The Buddha did not escape life. He didn't ascend to some distant heaven. He spent the next 45 years walking the earth, teaching others. His awakening was not about becoming a god. It was about becoming fully human. He was not born divine. He was, in his own words, just like us, a person who felt hurt, confused, and was searching for answers. His story is powerful not because he was a deity, but because he was a man who, through his own effort, found a path to peace. His awakening was not the end of the story, it was the beginning. And it remains an open invitation, a challenge to anyone brave enough to sit with their own life and ask the same profound question: What is the meaning of all this? Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more explorations into the great questions of life. We'll see you in the next one.